So a lot of you have been asking me about what my normal EDC blades are. I'm kind of spoiled because of TMP because I have access to all the different blades that he reviews. Generally, I'll kind of sneak in there and steal them once he's done, and then I'll, pocket wear them for a while till the next one comes along. So I don't have like a continuous roster, but I do have a lot that I tend to use more than others. Some I've had for a couple years and I've just gotten so attached to them I can't really move to the higher end stuff. A lot of the stuff I carry is way outside my price range, so I wanted to give you a quick little update and show you a couple of the blades that I do carry that are probably within the actual range of stuff that I would carry, and a couple of these I have bought and used for a long time, so you'll be able to see them. So I'm probably going to do the talking hands thing, so we're going to just switch this around. So the standard disclaimer applies. I'm still not an expert. I don't know what I'm talking about. I really don't have a lot of knowledge on blade steels, nor do I care to learn it. I'm still just tackling all kinds of stuff in school, and honestly I don't want to waste the RAM on any of that right now. So most of these are my EDC things. These aren't like my go-tos when I have to do all kinds of crazy cutting. This is the stuff that I carry day to day to open boxes, cut packages, the normal stuff, what most people use their blades for. So a couple of these I've had a couple of years. Here's one, the Skyline. Honestly, I don't like the Skyline that much. If you look at it, you can tell I had to reprofile the blade on this, and at the time I wasn't living at home and I didn't really have access to any good sharpeners, so I did like a terrible job just with a little normal stone. It took forever. I never really liked this knife. Nutton sent me this because he was a fan. I don't like the way it buries. I don't like the steel. It was constantly rusting. I don't know. It holds an edge. It's nice. It cuts, blah, blah, blah. But it's just so utilitarian for me. And these scales really didn't have any traction because they filled in with sweat and dirt and all that over time. It just isn't one of my favorites. Also, this sticks up a little too much for me for carrying, just for my liking. I'm willing to have a knife stick out if the knife is really cool looking. This is just kind of like, utilitarian nerd knife. It's like a slide rule. I don't know. Other guys love it. It's super utilitarian. It's great, very light. All those reasons, it's awesome. Just not really my thing. I do like style. I think this is the Ripple. These are actually really cool. This can be had for fairly cheap now. I want to say like around 60 bucks or so. I've been seeing a lot of these. I really like this version too. The blue is beautiful. Has a little bit more sculpting if I remember right. But I think the frame in that is actually part of the locking mechanism. I'm always paranoid of those because I feel like I'm going to overstress it one day and then it'll never go back. I like this. It's just a little less complicated. Love the design of it. It's really cool. Already kind of, pocket worn for you. Awesome blade. I guess I'll just start leaving those here so you can look at them. This is actually one of my favorites. I've had this since forever and ever ago. This is the Harsey Air Ranger, I think. This is a CRKT. Pretty sure you can find these for around 50 bucks or so, maybe 60 at times. It's going to be a little harder to find because I think it's discontinued. We've probably had this since about 2006. This actually really, it hits a notch for me because back in the day when we first started collecting knives, I was probably about 14, 15. I used to go up into Dad's office late at night and we would just talk about knives and collect them and research them and find these different ones that we were looking at. It became kind of a bonding hobby for us. At the time, I don't know, I was just in high school, wasn't really super interested in guns, not as much as I am now, and it was a lot easier to collect cheaper knives like these. We had a lot of CRKTs at the time. It was just a fun hobby, staying up late, we'd talk about these cool knives, and it invariably switched to girls and music and all kinds of other stuff. Again, we're pretty close, and that's why we're always joking around and all that. So that one's pretty popular. I love the Harsey. It's just light, really tactile. This whole sculpt here is just excellent. It's never really filled in for me either. A lot of these more, tacky traction panels, I tend to fill up with just hand grossness as you fondle it over time. It'll just fill in with like dead skin and dirt, what have you. This one I've never had that problem, and I've really been carrying it for a long time. I love that edge. It's probably kind of hard for me to maintain. I'm really bad at doing that. But for me, most of these, they're either art or they're tools. So I'll generally do the, one crap knife carry and then one really nice knife. Just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. This is my Centofonte I've had forever. As you can tell, I'm not a very good opener either. I've had this probably for about 4 or 5 years now. I stole this one from him and he never asked for it back, so I just kept it. Blade's all nicked up. I've had it just stuck in my belt, sweaty for, who knows, a couple hundred days by now. It's starting to show its wear. The little spider thing came out, so you can tell I just super glued it back into place. That clip is totally beat. But I do love this. This is one that I've definitely bonded to over time. I think there's supposed to be a rivet here or something. It's all filled in with dirt, grime, slime, sweat. That's awesome. To me, a lot of the allure of using this stuff, like the M1s, my jacket even, they're things that you bond with over time as you use it more. you know, you put those miles on it, you kind of create this relationship with your gear. As long as you take care of it, it's there for you. I just love that. A lot of these blades, pretty much any of them these days, will do that for you. Here's one, the Lightning OTF. You're going to find a bunch of these all over. You can tell I haven't cleaned it in a while. I actually lent this one to Suspect a couple weeks ago. This is how I took it out. So this is after sitting for about a month. Very, very light, tiny rust spots on it. I can't even tell if it's rust. I almost wonder if it's like food or something. So I'll just hit that with probably some steel wool or something, see if it can come off. The nice thing about the Lightnings, it's an OTF. You don't really have to worry about that much. They're so cheap. They're so accessible. It's not as high-strung as some of the other ones. You know, you get like an Infidel or something. You kind of worry about it falling out of your pocket, or I don't know. I'm always kind of paranoid when I carry anything that's like, you know, $200 or more, because that's a pretty big investment. And I have lost a knife before running around as a teenager. I went to a corn maze and I lost my awesome Zycar at the time. Really missed that knife. Another one, here's another auto. This is one of the Boker Kalashnikovs. This one's in sand. I really like this. He showed me one of these in black once upon a time when it just had the plain edge, the bead blasted satin on it. I didn't like it near as much as the sand. There's something about this coloration and how awesome that looks. It's just this perfect cream. Unlike some of the other ones too, when you fill these in, like I've done it with my 1911, when you tend to coat them, they'll sometimes fill in the sharp edges of whatever, you know, tackiness you have there. You lose that. This one didn't really have that problem. Feels just about as similar as the black edition, I think. So that's an awesome one. I think those are about 40. These, I want to say 30s to 40s, depending. They have different models in and out of stock sometimes. They had a really cool seafoam green once upon a time. Pretty sure it's all sold out. I really liked that, and I'm kind of mad I didn't pick it up when I could. That kind of looks like the old Fender Jazzmaster Jaguar, which the Jaguar is actually one of my favorite guitars of all time. Just a really cool surfer style. You know, it has the Nirvana chic to it or whatever. That's all great. The Rat 1 is one that Nut and Fancy loves. He's tried to turn me onto it forever. This is one I've had for probably about 4 or 5 years as well. This blade I wasn't as excited about when he first showed it to me because I was assuming, like most other blades, it's in the $70 to $80 range. At that price point, I'm not that jazzed. You can see some pocket wear here. This one's been around the block as well. It's gotten all kinds of lint and what I assume is dead skin from the looks of it. You know, for a while, in order to carry a little more stealthily, I would carry it on the inside of my pants, kind of in my waistband. You know, kind of like you would carry any other tiny concealable pocket pistol. It just drew less attention to itself. There is that element of having a clip like this where you have the hilt sticking out. It's most obviously a knife. Sometimes I like to run a little more stealthy than that and just not have to bring up the issue of, you know, hey, why do you have a knife? Oh, because I do things and blah, blah, blah. These are the reasons. I don't like having to explain my lifestyle to people. It's just irritating. So this is the normal one I had forever and ever. And I think he showed these before. He did these just as kind of a special crew present. There are 4 of them. This is like a light blue scale that he did, engraved them. This one's number 2 of 4. He has one. I want to say PFI Dude has 3. Maybe PFI Dad has the other one. Yeah, he did these for fun. I still have yet to really carry this a lot. Again, kind of afraid of losing it. I do like it. The thing that really turned me on these Rat 1s is the price. I went on Amazon before I checked this out, and I want to say they're asking about $37 with it. So if you have Prime shipping, that's a pretty smoking deal for a very capable blade. The steel on it, I want to say, is AUS 8. Yep, there you go. AUS 8. Really, really awesome. I haven't had to sharpen this one in forever, which is really nice. Other ones like the Skyline, whatever this thing is, I've had to sharpen this a couple times. It just bugs me more than anything. I have sharpened the Centophane, but I've put a lot of use. That's kind of been my go-to beater blade for a long time. I now have a Boker that's kind of taken up the charge there. That's a classic for me. Another one for me is the Damascus Kershaw Salva, I want to say. I love this one. It has a Damascus finish on the blade. It says Made in USA for the blade. I'm pretty sure that applies to the whole thing. I think this was about $80 at the time. I found it closed out a while back for around $60 or so. Remember, I'm quoting all this from memory, so I wouldn't trust it too much. I love just the finish on it. It's really cool, slim. It's probably a little too heavy for him. He doesn't like the heavier stuff. But for me, EDC carry, or ED carry, is not so much about being utilitarian. For me, it's more of a statement. Carrying a blade kind of harkens back to the old tradition of always having a tool on you, always being prepared. And it says a lot about the person who's carrying it. You know, whenever I see a guy out in public who's got that little clip sitting outside his pocket, I think, all right, there's, you know, that's a guy in the club. He's got a knife on him. He's prepared. You can kind of infer a lot of different personality characteristics. A lot of the guys I meet like that in public, really cool. I've met guys in classes before and we just start bonding over blades, and once in a while I'll show them, you know, a couple of my favorites or something. The one time I did sit next to a guy, he had a Benchmade, what was it? I forgot. He had some Benchmade on him, and I luckily had stolen the Infidel from Nut and Fancy that morning, so we got to have a really cool conversation about our favorites. So this is about 60 or so on clearance, maybe 80. This will probably be harder to find. I think it's discontinued. This you can still find on Amazon, all over the place, Cutlery Shop. Their prices are just always smoking on these. Very capable. Even if you aren't a big fan of the style, I would totally recommend it just so you have a utilitarian blade. It's some awesome steel. Fortunately not made in the US, but for that price point, I don't think you can bitch much. I do like these. I'm not sure about ordering auto depending on where you are, how you do it. It's always, you know, your mileage may vary depending on where you're living, how free everyone is. I think this right now is about 40 bucks. I've seen them on somewhat of a sale. I think BHQ may have them. BHQ also does the Lightnings. They have some other cool colors. I think like a pale yellow right now. That's really cool. They also have semi-serrated if you're into that. Centifontes, I think about 60 bucks. I went into this trying to find a bunch of knives that are about $30 or so, because that's a good no-nonsense starter point. But I haven't really been able to find them because I just, you know, this is the stuff I normally carry. These are the more average blades that I do. You know, you can pick whatever you want. The Ripple, I do like. I don't remember how much this is. I think it's on clearance right now. Harzy, I'm pretty sure, is about 47, something like that. It's in the mids. I would definitely get one of these. I love it. It is pretty light. It's all, you know, the metallic scaling on it, so you don't have to deal with any liners, any of that. It's awesome. It stays surprisingly clean, too, because I've carried this non-stop for about a year now, and it still looks like it's brand new. Again, I have kind of taken care of it. That's why I have beater blades like the Senefane. Skyline, I don't even know why I have it in here. I just know a bunch of people kept asking me way back when that review posted about, you know, why I didn't like it so much, because some of them have heard. So that's it. These are a lot of the ones I carry. Here's one I debated including with the rest of this group, because most of these tend to top out about $80. This one's about $100. It may not really fit in with the high-end knives, you know, some of the Microtex, Protex, Benchmade, some of those ones, the over 100. So I was going to toss it in with this group. I actually rediscovered it recently because I used to carry one of the other models of it he reviewed back in the day, but I think that one ended up getting shipped off and sold. He kind of tends to go through the blades every once in a while and just get rid of them, and I think I missed that one when it was going out the door. Anyways, this is the Cheruskermesser Endurance, I think. Something like that. I'm sure I said every word of that wrong, so I don't know. You can go ahead and Bing it and find out what the real translation is. Yes, I'm using the verb Bing sarcastically. I don't really know how to classify this blade. For me, it's more of a fun EDC. It's kind of different. That's really what does it for me. It's got this bizarre body shape. It's not very common. It's got that very weird looking hole there, Spyderco style. The steel on it is 8CR13 MOV. This thing is just awesome to me though. It's very unusual. It's got that bizarre European flair. I feel like I should wear leather pants and drive up on a Moto Marini Dart and date girls named Bianca and Isabella for some reason. But it just is really funky to me. It's got this reverse liner lock on there. I'm sure there's a better term for that, but again, I don't know what I'm talking about, so you can't really hate on it for it. I like it. It's kind of more expensive, about $97. It's kind of harder to find here too. There's one place that I found online that's selling them ready to ship. Really funky design. I like it. Anyways, those are my more cheap ones. These are the more accessible. This is going to be harder to find. I already gave you the run through. So a lot of these, you can pick them up. And granted, these are only the knives that I personally like and carry all the time. We live in pretty much the coolest time in human history. You can buy any number. I could guarantee you'd find about 100 blades right now for under $100 that you would like and enjoy carrying. All that's left is to actually go out, try them, find them, carry them, see how you like them. We're just so awesomely lucky to live in a time where we have all this reliability, all this build quality, and all of it at such an accessible price point. Because any one of these blades about, 10, 20 years ago, they would have been really hard to find. Granted, this is about 10 years old at this point, so maybe it's a little bit of an overstatement. But the rest of these, especially the Rats, I'm blown away with how much value they have. And this one, I wouldn't even be afraid. Like this, you could go ahead and scale it, do whatever you want with it. Because it's such a low price point, you can be free to customize and trick it out however you want. Anyways, that's a quick update. Kind of wanted to make up for the learning video being so boring, because I was editing it, and even I was kind of nodding off, so that should kind of help you get through it. Thanks for watching, thanks for subbing. I'll check the comments on these a little bit. I'm starting school up again, so you're going to see less awesome editing from me, and it does take a long time to edit. I'll do what I can to keep it interesting. Anyways, thanks for watching. These are my hands. Going away guns. This is the part where I normally edit in a fart, but I don't have anything today, so deal with it. I just see how many of these I can fit in a pocket. That'd be cool. Don't know why, but it would be cool.